I'd like to call this December 9th meeting of the Richfield Planning Commission to order. The first thing would be the approval of last month's minutes.
Commissioner Sturza, so move.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Keneally seconds.
All right. All those in favor of approving last month's minutes, please say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. The next thing on the agenda is the open forum. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the Planning Commission, typically on items that are not before the Commission tonight. Have we, Planner Crosby or Planner Villa, have we received any communications before the meeting today?
Chair, no, we have not.
All right. If there is no one to speak for the open forum, the next thing would be to approve the agenda for this evening.
Commissioner Sturza, so move.
Commissioner Keneally seconds.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, the agenda is approved. The first thing on the agenda then is a public hearing to request a zoning code amendment regarding drive-through signs. Could we please get the staff report?
Thank you, Chair. Yes. Border Foods is proposing to replace their existing menu board sign at Taco Bell with a dynamic display. The zoning code currently does not address dynamic display drive-through signs. The sign code permits only one per property, and it limits the area of the dynamic display to no more than 35% of the sign area. In practice, these regulations make it difficult for existing drive-through uses to convert their existing menu boards to digital displays, as they often already have a primary dynamic display or multiple drive-through signs. The 35% limitation is also impractical, as it requires the drive-through sign to be majority static. The applicant, Border Foods, has thus requested an ordinance amendment that would establish regulations specifically for dynamic drive-through signs. Currently, the zoning code only addresses drive-through signs within the conditional uses section of the mixed-use districts. And they're not really called a sign. They're referred to as order boards. They're limited to 40 square feet and 8 feet in height, and they have to be located within 60 feet of the business which they serve. This is a little confusing because drive-up uses are also allowed conditionally in the C2 district, but there's no mention of order boards in the listed conditions of that district. So for consistency and clarity, we're proposing to move order board regulations to the sign section of the code. That way it would apply to both any district. And also rename them to drive-through signs. We are also proposing some exemptions for dynamic display regulations that would allow drive-through uses to have more than one dynamic display, and to have a sign that basically takes up, for drive-through signs specifically, that take up 100% of the sign area, so you don't have to be limited to that 35% limitation. And yeah, I think that's it. I didn't want to mention we got one email inquiry from a resident, but I sent them the packet when I was ready, and I never heard back from them. So.
Before we take any testimony, are there any questions for staff? If the applicant is here, or if there's someone else to speak to this, please approach the podium. All right, excellent, sure. Go ahead and say your names and addresses for the record then, and sign in.
Shannon King, Andrew Davies, 5425 Boone Avenue North, New Hope, Minnesota.
All right, and you represent, are you?
I am a representative of Border Foods franchise of Taco Bell.
Okay.
This is my associate. He's our signage installer. He's our expert.
All right. And do you want to explain a little bit about the situation with the sign, or what you're trying to do?
Absolutely. So what we are looking to replace our current menu board with is, it's called an outside digital menu board as we reference it through Taco Bell corporate. And we are looking to replace the existing menu board on the existing foundation with the new digital menu board. It's a corporate rollout, and this is the last Taco Bell in Minnesota that we are looking to swap that one out with the digital menu board of. There's no actual signage on it physically, but there is rolling signage that slowly goes across the screen in between orders. Happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
And it's actually smaller than the original that's going up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It looks like it's significantly smaller than the current signage.
Yep.
Correct.
Height size goes from 7'2" to 6'1", and then square footage goes from 40 square footage to 25 square footage. So it is a smaller board.
Any questions from commissioners? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If there were no comments received beforehand and no one else is here to speak, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Commissioner Keneally, so moved.
Commissioner Surma, second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of closing the hearing, please say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Do we have any questions for staff or any further discussion?
For discussion, I just think this is really straightforward, especially since our McDonald's already has one of these approvals that I feel like it doesn't make any sense to pick and choose which vendors get this or not. So that's my 2 cents. I'm strongly in favor of this.
I guess I do have a question for staff. I see the I was just trying to find it in the staff report. So I'm not going to get the language exactly right, but I know that you're recommending that we permit two boards when there's two lanes. And I'm just wanting to clarify, is it 2 boards when there's 2 lanes, or is it 2 boards regardless of how many lanes are there?
It is 2 boards per drive-up lane, which is a little confusing because there's only one fast food restaurant in Richfield that has 2 drive-up lanes. So the majority of users will only have 1 drive-up lane, which would mean you can have the 2 that equal 50 square feet in total. But if they decide to do only 1 sign, it can't be more than 32 square feet. And what we're trying to do with that is basically provide some freedom with choosing how big you want either one. So like if you want to have 2 25 square foot signs, then that's fine. If you want to have 1 larger one and 1 smaller one, that's fine. We just don't want a really big 50 square foot sign, if that makes sense. So yes, it's 2 per drive-up lane, but it won't really apply to many uses in Richfield already.
And I guess in terms of comments, like for this specific use, it makes all the sense in the world. I appreciate that staff looked at cleaning this up and making it more up to date, but I do think it opens up, much of our C2 district is abutting residential. And so I want to be very mindful of the fact of signage by residential and wanting to make sure that there's still opportunity through the conditional use permit or CUP process that we would be able to have conversation for new proposals. And I'm correct in understanding that it's still a CUP process for C2 districts, or is it just a CUP process for mixed use?
It's a CUP for mixed use and C2. It's just that mixed use has a lot more conditions.
Sure. Okay, yep. As long as we still have, it's still a CUP process for C2, I'm comfortable with these changes, and I appreciate the work that was done to bring these up to current standards.
Go ahead, Commissioner Crosby.
Chair, if I may, I just want to clarify that while a drive-through is a conditional use permit, the sign itself is not a conditional use permit. A sign, if any location that's already existing as a drive-through wants to change their sign to be dynamic now, well, after this is adopted, they could just do so with a sign permit. Just making sure that's clear.
Sorry, that opens up another question. Sorry to belabor this, but so I noted noting that this now kind of grandfather is not the right word, but the list that was in the staff report of the 17 properties, there were 17 properties that the city identified that has a drive-up window. And then there was a list of drive-throughs with sign sizes, but that did not include all of the drive-through signs in the city. What was the difference in? No, like Dunkin' Donuts has a sign, but it wasn't listed under historical context.
Yeah, so that was, the table for the historical context, we used old sign permits that we have on file, and that was all we could find. So if we would have gathered the information for all the other ones, we would basically have to go out and measure or get information from the fast food users, but we also wouldn't know if they were approved or not. Sometimes signs change without getting sign permits, so that's the difference. But this wasn't included in the staff report, but of the 11 fast food drive-throughs, only 4 abut residential properties, and 3 of the 11 don't meet the 150-foot separation that we require between residential properties and dynamic displays. So if an existing drive-through use has a non-conforming sign, like their sign doesn't meet the 150-foot, they would not be able to convert it to dynamic display without putting it further back or solving that in some way. So they would have to just not do it or get a variance. So I don't know if that's
So they would not be permitted to automatically go to a dynamic sign, like Dunkin' wouldn't be able to?
No, Dunkin' doesn't meet it. That was one of the 3 that we identified.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
I just wanted to say too, for this location, this use, it's very logical, and again, there is obvious care put into the proposal. My concern is just like with the sign at the park, several months ago, is the maximum lighting emission, because these signs can be, you all know if you have your phone on and it's not in dark mode and you're in a dark place, it can be very, very bright. So I feel like we should have clear standards on the total light emissions from these kinds of things at night. But in terms of this proposal, this makes sense, and for this applicant. Any other discussion or questions?
But to clarify, what we're approving is not just this applicant, right? Yep, okay.
Chair, I do just want to mention really quick, we do have brightness standards. Like when we approve a new dynamic display, we ask for proof that that the sign has ambient lighting capabilities. But that is something we've identified for the future. We don't have specific like some cities have maximum foot candles that you can have from a certain point away from the sign, and we don't have that. So that's something we've identified. We just haven't gotten into it, but we do have brightness standards.
Thank you for the clarification. And yeah, I would think that perhaps a clear standard of maximum light in a measurable, objective way might be helpful for future changes to the code. Any other discussion? All right, we would need a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
I'd like to, Commissioner Surma moves to approve the staff recommendation. Is that sufficient information? Okay, okay.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Tarleton seconds.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Community Services Advisory Commission.
No report for this month. The commission is not meeting in December either.
All right, City Council, that's me. The City Council has had a few work sessions and a joint session with the school board. At the most recent council meeting, they were doing some routine approval of election results and also considering a proposal about not having to count all write-in votes unless the candidate has requested their write-in votes to be counted, and then beginning the process to assess the sales tax that was approved by the voters. Housing and redevelopment.
No update since the last time we
All
met.
right. School board.
No report, Chair.
All right. Transportation.
No report.
Chamber of Commerce. Oh, yeah, of course, that makes sense. And Sustainability Commission.
Only update from sustainability is that the city is planning on putting solar power infrastructure on top of the new public arena, and that will save the city about $72,000.
All right. A city planners report.
Being there's only 2 weeks since our last meeting, I don't have any updates at this time.
All right, we'll resume at our normal cycle next month. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Canali, I move to adjourn.
Seconded, Commissioner Surma.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? We stand adjourned.